Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Hey, Static, did you get your detective guy fixed? He's fell over again.
hmm
Yeah.
That's his face.
Yeah.
His face a little bit farther.
Yeah, there he
This is
goes.
his face
Perfect.
really close. Do you like his face?
I
Do you
do.
like it?
I like the close up. Supreme close up.
Oh, look into his
That's
eye.
wow. That is an eye.
Yeah. He's got a
Wow.
see so much detail. It's awesome.
That's great.
Hair.
That's great.
Shake it,
It's like
shake
a
it.
real life like detective plushie that you have. I'm really
Yeah.
jealous. I really want a detective plushie.
There will be detective plushies
Yes, there will.
in the future. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
It
Now that
probably won't be
not
exactly the same as that one.
no, because that one was custom built, but
Yeah.
by his by Rowe, who's an amazing artist and apparently designer for plushies.
Hmm.
She also made this, which is really cute.
Oh, yes.
It's pretty darn cute. I really like it.
Yes.
Me squishy.
Yeah. So, quick survey. Do you guys want a detective plushie? All you guys in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure most of you guys would like to have a detective plushie. And if you don't want a detective plushie, is there any other character in the Criminal Idol series that you would like a plushie of? I was saying like Faruto or something, like
Yeah,
one of
no.
the obscure media members or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know,
If you guys could have a or a plushie character, which plushie character would you have from the Criminal Idol series? Kariko. Um,
oh, you're
if
gonna
you
make
were
me? Yeah, Bree wants to make me a character.
Joe, make Joe a character. Nice. Brie, what did you want to make for me? You said you wanted to make me something. Is it like food? Because I heard that you can make pretty good food.
I like food. Food is
Mm.
good.
Food is good. I I mean it's all right. What I like to do with food though, that probably is like makes it a little bit better, is put it in my mouth. Um, but other than that, I don't really care about food. It's just kind of like a thing. I don't know.
Ooh, but Kendra can make applesauce muffins. That sounds pretty good.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a round of applesauce a long time.
Round of applesauce for the applesauce muffins. Perfect.
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. You made it. We're here, and we made it too. We were a little bit wondering a little bit ago if everybody's going to make it or not, and you guys made it, and so did we. So we're very impressed with everybody. Uh, our producer Jesse Van Slyke, he's running the scenes. We've got Princess in the chat. She's the chat hostess, making everybody feel welcome and helping us keep everything organized and properly put in the right place. And I'm Joe, and you got Ryan above me. And this is our show where we take any challenges, questions you might have, and you can go ahead and post them in the chat. Post them at the link that Princess just posted in the chat. That's a great place to put them. And either place, we will get to them. We are not professional therapists, counselors, attorneys, police officers, doctors, surgeons, accountants, or bookkeepers.
Or
We,
builders, or
right,
friars,
builders.
or detectives, or shop owners, or I mean the list continues. There are so many things we are not.
We are not idol girls either.
Nope. Nope. Certainly are not.
Neither that or teachers. So yeah, but we just want to pull up alongside you as a friend, and offer you some love, some encouragement along the way as you journey through whatever challenge you might be going through. So if there is something you want to talk about, or would like us to see if we can help unpack for you, just go ahead and post it there in the chat or at the link that Princess just said. the one at bss.studio. Or if you'd like to remain anonymous, you can also send us an email at dww@bss.studio. That's dww@bss.studio. And we will keep you anonymous. However, we can't guarantee that we will know if you're present or not when we go through it. That's the only caveat to that. So anyway, wow. You guys look awesome in the chat. It's great to see all of you. There are a lot of people here that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
So, and actually, I see that Master Lay is here. We actually have one on our website from you, Lay, from January 9th.
Yeah, it's been a while, Lay. I hope you're doing awesome.
Yeah. Red Fire, you're here too, man.
Whoa. Hey, Red Fires. Dude, love you. It's been a long time. I miss your hearts.
Yes. You guys are amazing. So since I saw Lay here, I think it might be about time to grab his question here. So I will post a link to it.
Perfect.
Oh, Bree says we didn't answer. Oh, you didn't answer Bree's question.
What was the question? You like hearts and foxes, right, Ryan? Oh, yeah, definitely. Of course, who doesn't like those two things? Yeah. Foxes used to be my favorite animal when I was young. Now they're one of my favorite animals. I have more now, but yeah, totally.
So there is the link to Lay's question on the website.
Thanks, Joe.
And we are extremely excited to get to go through this now, finally. So thanks for being here, Lay. And all right, I will read through it. So Master Lay talks about being mentally drained. And he says, so the end of the semester, failing a certain subject, but heck, I'll crawl out of this. The real issue? I'm feeling mentally drained, and it's been a while since I've felt that. However, now it's back, and as much as I love talking with people, with the state I am now in, it drains me more than it gives me power. A major part of all conversations put me on the verge of tears, and that finally leaves me all alone with myself. And here, part one begins. Lately, I've tried my best to recover from a trauma from the past. I'll assume you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I thought it went great because with each passing day, the stress surrounding it just went away. Now that I'm all alone with myself, I realized I was just locking myself away from myself just so I didn't have to face that dark part of me. And now it's right there on my back, haunting me all over again, screaming harrowingly at and into my soul. Makes me afraid of talking to anyone, afraid of being present in groups. Sure, I force myself into still talking to people, and sure, it doesn't translate that much into that fear into the web, but I hate the hardship I have to go through just so I can talk with someone. As for part two, how do I properly rest mentally? My only way of having a break was, honestly, sitting, laying down, and listening to music, drifting away from the reality, just so it could strike me again whenever I had to get up. I don't feel like it's as viable as I thought it was. With love, Lay. So that is Lay's post. And wow, Lay, thank you so much for contributing, for posting. And yeah, this is there's a lot of complexity to this, and I'm looking forward to our discussion. So Ryan, why don't you kick us off with this discussion?
Sure. Yeah. Once again, thanks. I'm curious, Lay, since this was on what, February 9th, what are the
January 9th.
Oh, January 9th. Sorry, not February.
It's not February 9th yet.
Yeah, I didn't mean February. January 9th, nearly a month ago. I'm curious about the possible what's the word? I can't think of the word, but how things have been going since then. Have you made any changes? Have you yeah, post from the future. Have you found your way out of this in any way? Have you made improvements since this post. I'm just curious. The development, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. How's the development on this sort of thing? And while you answer that, um, so yeah, this is obviously a hard thing. I've definitely been in the situation where you're just like, you just go lay down and then you don't even want to get up because it's like, you just have to face everything that you were facing before when you get up, right? You just can't escape. When you are in a state like that, or whenever you are sad or depressed or anything like that, like a lot of times the worst thing you can do is go lay down in your bed. Because you end up getting stuck there. You said, I forced myself even further to walk towards people and keep helping them, but it ended up poorly. Went into a few deeply rooted arguments with people, examples, parents, as well as my girlfriend. So still pretty actual. Okay. That's understandable. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, when you're feeling down, one of the worst things you can do, not always, but sometimes if so sometimes when you're feeling down, day in and day out, one of the worst things you can do is go lay down in your bed, because you end up just kind of getting stuck there, wasting time, and not really feeling any better in the long run. You might feel better, get away for a few moments, and I get that, but then in the long run, you make it harder for yourself. But it's good to listen to music, and as long as the music has a decent message in it. I think one of the things that I think one of the main things here is just perhaps a change of perception. I think a lot of times our problems come from the way that we think about things, the way we feel about things. Like, for example, if you go into meet some people for the first time and your perception is that you're going to have a bad time, then you're going to walk in and you're probably just going to have a bad time, because you're not going to even try to have a good time, right? And similarly, if you walk into a group and you're expecting to have a good time, and you're just like, I'm just going there and have fun, even if you don't know them, you're more likely to have a good time, because then you're going to try to do the things that make you have a good time. So keeping your attitude up is not necessarily an easy thing to do, but it's definitely important. And it can definitely shape not only how you feel, whether things go well or not, but it can shape how the day goes, the actual things that happen, because it can encourage you to do things with more effort or more of a good attitude, I guess. When it comes to people, I think one of the things that, Joe said this quite a few times, one of the things that helps kind of get our attitudes in the right place is just loving them. Love is, wanting the best for them, and being willing to do whatever it takes to get that for them, but also to be not concerned with yourself. So if you go in to meet people, sometimes people say things that cause arguments, but you can sidestep that a lot of times if you realize, like, hey, I don't need to judge this person. Whether this person is wrong or right, it doesn't really matter, because that's not who they are. They're not the essence of wrong or right. They're not the essence of true or false. They're the essence of human being, person. They have a soul, they have a mind, they have a heart, they have a body, and they have a past, they have a future. And so when an argument happens, one of the best things, again, and when it comes to dealing with people in any kind of thing, to just look at them and love them and say, hey, I love you. And it's a lot of times it's better to just kind of listen to them and respect them. Because when you have an issue of respect it's going to be a lot more frequent how often you have arguments. But if you can respect others, they often respect you back. People people like themselves, whether they think that they do or they don't. People like their own views. And if you respect people and their views, even if they're not exactly right, if you respect people and understand that, they came up with this view on their own or whatever, if you respect people and their views, they're more likely to think highly of you. And that will avoid arguments and things like that. And it'll make it a lot easier for you to get through conversations and enjoy most in conversations. Like, for example, when someone says something you might disagree with, you can always say, oh, that's interesting. Why do you believe that? Or or how'd you find that out? It's probably even better. Where did you learn that? How did you find that out? Because then it encourages them to let you know how they found it out. And it doesn't put that pressure on them like, I think you're wrong. Then you can start the argument or start the debate a lot more lovingly if so needed. Because then you can say, oh, that's interesting. How did you find that out? And then they'll tell you the story. And then you'll get to understand why they understand the world they do, the way they do. And then from that, you can move forward with any kind of debatable question or whatever. And so if you have love in your heart, when you talk to somebody, you can just say, hey, I love you, I love you, I love you, in the back of your head over and over. And it really helps you have that conversation or whatever to treat them like royalty, if you will. Because if you treat them like that, that's going to make your life a lot easier. It's interesting because you feel like a lot of times it's almost our animalistic nature to feel like if we're on top, we're in a good spot. But the truth is, in humanity, it's very flip-flopped. When we put others on top, when we lift others up, then our problems with our relationships fade. It's not like, you have to put someone up down or assert yourself to say, hey, look, I'm right and you're wrong. Doing that kind of stuff puts our relationships at ease, and it makes things very hard and difficult. And it becomes more and more difficult to love that person as that goes on and continues, because then they start to respect you less and less. But if you allow yourself to be concerned over them and lifting them up, then your relationship with them will improve, and you're just going to feel a lot better about all of it. Oh, you would expect that, oh, I'm putting myself under them, then I won't be in control, and then my life will be terrible. But the truth is quite the opposite. You put yourself below someone, you start lifting them up, soon enough, they're going to want to lift you up too, and that's going to make your life better. But you don't actually lose anything to begin with if you put yourself under somebody. I think that's important to remember. You might think, I lost control. Well, not really, because you can, if you have something like a moral disagreement, you don't have to listen to them. But if you put yourself under them in command or whatever, you might not be able to command them, but you didn't have that ability in the first place. You can't tell them what to do. And you have more of a chance to tell them what to do if you put yourself under them, which is weird. But it's because then they feel like you're a friend, feel like they respect you, feel like you're someone they can trust in. So relationships are weird things. But yeah. And there's a lot on this, a lot of things you said that I didn't touch on, but I just want to touch on that at least first. And now I'm going to let Joe talk for a while and see what he has to say about the whole thing.
Yeah. No, from the sounds of things, I've been reading through some of the things that you've been putting in the chat, Lay, while Ryan's been talking. One thing, arguments happen more on a personal level. Parents were upset at me for not doing what they wanted me to do. Basically, they put too much on my shoulders, expected me to do it all. And then I kind of gave in to the sorrow that argument caused and cut myself away from talking to my girlfriend, which did upset her because she wanted to help too. So we kind of explode, and so yeah, I understand. It feels kind of stupid,
Yeah.
um, but what I from what you're saying, it sounds very similar to some of the things that I remember dealing with in my head and in my heart when I was at my first year at Michigan State. And that was about when I was getting ready to have a nervous breakdown. And then, like, right after I had had that, and then I went into therapy for a while. So, what I remember feeling that stress of the expectations of other people, namely my parents, and I don't even know if it was their expectations or just what I thought their expectations were. It could have just been what I was thinking they were expecting, even though that wasn't necessarily what they were expecting. Because really, as a parent, we all want our children to do well, and we all kind of get an idea in our head, a picture of what that doing well looks like for our child. And the interesting thing is, now as a parent, I watch my children grow and get interested in things, and it's totally not anything like I pictured before I became a parent. Like, they are interested in way different things than I expected they'd be interested in.
Mm.
And so now I'm kind of thriving in this learning to see what they're getting into and being excited about learning new things, because they want to learn new stuff and they want to be into stuff, and trying as hard as I can to hold back my own opinion or my own thoughts as far as what I was thinking, the picture I had of their success, and going along with what they're looking for in their success. Lay, you say, I'm honestly 99% sure most of the stress from the arguments comes from me trying to satisfy as many people as I can. Aha. So hearing I didn't meet the expectations did put me down. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes. And I totally understand where you're at. That is so hard. And I'm sorry, because I remember the stress. It was like crushing stress that just was weighing me down. The problem, one of the mistakes I made was I turned to different substances. I turned to substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or other kind of self-medicating substances, that just mess with my brain. And all that did was that made the problem worse. So I would avoid running to that. It may or may not be a temptation for you. If it is, do the best you can to avoid that temptation, because that, in my experience, simply made things worse, the worst. Making the same mistake with the games and music instead. Well, at least that may be. I guess I don't know. You certainly can get addicted to gaming, I imagine. But one of the things about alcohol is that alcohol is a depressant, so it chemically depresses you, not just in the psychological realm, but it also it's a depressant chemically, so it also physically does that to your system. So that was a problem for me. I'll tell you, one of the things that really helped turn things around. Lay says, also kind of ran to God and had some surreal expectations about how that would go. Yeah. Sometimes God feels very distant, and we might get thrown down to our knees and cry out to God and then feel nothing in return. I've been there before too. Sometimes we get epiphanies, sometimes we don't. Sometimes God is silent. He's looking for us to develop patience and perseverance and stuff like that through these issues. One cool thing, if you're crying out to God, one thing to remember is God will not hand anything to you that you can't handle. He won't give you something that he knows that you can't handle. So if he's giving you some kind of a challenge, and most of the time it's a prompting to draw you to him, but he's not going to give you something that's more difficult than you can face. So you can trust in that. One thing that really started to turn me around, because I was on medications and I was in therapy and I was doing all kinds of stuff that was, supposed to be helpful. The things that really started to turn things around was when I started to read good books. That was good inspirational stuff. I started to put good media into my head. So I'm really glad you're here, because we strive at BSS to create media that's uplifting and inspiring, and not and that teaches truth rather than just manipulates your brain to get you to act on your vices, which is what most of the culture media proposes out there. So it's great to see you here. That might help a little bit. And then also, if I were you, I would pick up any book by an author named Og Mandino, and I'll write that in the chat here.
He only has one book. No, just kidding.
He's got a whole ton of books.
That's great.
And it's usually the greatest something in the world. So like the greatest salesman in the world, the greatest miracle in the world, the greatest secret in the world. Then he's got The Choice, A Better Way to Live. If I were you, just look up Og Mandino on Amazon, and then go through the books and see if there's one that strikes your fancy. They're usually really cheap, just a few bucks for them. And you might be able to find them online too. You might be able to find some of them for free, or sections of them for free. But look up anything written by Og Mandino, the greatest stuntman. But his work is greatly inspiring, and it was really helpful to me in turning my thinking around. Plus, it's really engaging because he always writes in a story form rather than just teaching you stuff. He writes a story, and then you learn things through the story. So I would definitely recommend anything by Og Mandino. Then probably, Jeff's recommending The Choice. Good choice.
Good choice. Nice.
One thing you can do, and I learned this recently in the book The Miracle Morning, and that was when the author was dealing with the deepest, most stressful time of his life. What he started doing first, before anything, was he just began some simple exercising when he would get going in the morning. And it doesn't have to be super strenuous. It doesn't have to be hardcore. It could just be going for a walk. It could be, doing some push-ups. It could be anything. And it doesn't have to be like a super long workout, but just some kind of exercise for a little bit greatly clears your head and gives you a little bit of confidence too, because now you're like, oh, I just did something physically, and now I've got a lot more mental clarity. I've got blood flowing through my body at a better rate. I got my heart going. I started breathing, and that can help you to feel more confident, more alert, and it can really help you see, oh, I can have the confidence to beat whatever problem I have going on in my head. So if you start just doing some simple exercising, and I usually do mine in the morning, but it can be any time of day, really. I stood up. That was quite a workout. Now off to school.
That's great.
That's perfect.
That's awesome.
Stand up and sit down. Try standing up and sitting down 5 times.
There you go.
Right after the other. But no, that's awesome. I love your humor.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, but if you do that, that'll help your confidence level. Some of those books will help, kind of rewire your brain a little bit. And There was one other thing I was going to say, and I don't remember. So exercise. Then remember this. The people in your life, they don't get to determine who you are. Sometimes people will be like, hey, it's my life. I determine who I am. I don't think we even really choose who we are, really. We just kind of are who we are, and we're trying to figure it out. And so take some time. And what would happen? I think you've got all these expectations. You've got people that are putting expectations on you. Is that really what you want to do? Is that really the direction you want to be going? I had this question posed to me very uniquely recently, where somebody was asking me what I did for a living, and my job right now is a property inspector. And they asked me, they're like, so is that like what you really want to do? And I'm like, no.
Nope. My job doesn't define me.
No, right.
I don't want that.
No, but I mean, it's fine. It makes an income while we build BSS, and that's the point of it. You know, it's there for me to provide for my family to some degree while we build our company, and that's the dream. So whatever you're doing right now, is it in some way contributing to what you really want for your life? Go back and reawaken the dreams that you had as a child. Think about some of those and really remember, what was it that you could see yourself doing or becoming? What's the thing that you could become that really, really lit you up that you can remember? And revisit that. Revisit that person who you wanted to become. And then think, is what I'm doing right now contributing to that? Now, it doesn't have to directly contribute to it, if that makes sense. Sometimes we go to college so we can get a job, so then we can have an income while we pursue our dream. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes, I mean, I know a lot of people have taken that path. I know a lot of people have taken the path of going to college and getting a job only to find out that they didn't want to be there in the first place, and now they felt like they wasted a whole bunch of time. So now they're backtracking to try and figure out where their dream was, and then they're chasing that again. Some people never dig out of the pit, if you will. And some people chase their dream the whole way. So what I'm saying is, just like for me, my inspections job doesn't directly contribute to my dream. It's there to support me while I pursue my dream. So in that way, it contributes to the building of my dream. But one of the things that I always have to do is every day I have to look at my dream. I have to remember what it is. And that gives me the energy to get through all the nonsense I got to go through at my job, and then come back and start doing the things that are going to contribute to building my dream. And it was so exciting. Yesterday, I got to spend time with Ryan in person.
Yeah, we had an awesome day.
We had an awesome time. We were filming an interview. Ryan's putting together an interview.
I was part of it.
Yeah, he was the person. It's an interview of Static P. The Static P interview. We've announced it now. So, yeah, that's going to be coming at some point, because it's kind of a promotional thing for the Criminal Idol album that's coming in the near future as well. So there's a lot of cool things just kind of on the horizon. But as we were working towards these goals, it was really exciting to actually do these tasks and to see how all this was coming together. We're just trying to figure out all the different things with camera, lighting, all these different crazy things with the room we were dealing with. But those things are super fun. And
it was a great time.
Mm-hmm. So if you can remember what that dream was for your life and think about that and really visualize it and experience it in your mind, that's going to go so far to melt a lot of the stress you feel of the expectations of others. A lot of that's just going to melt away. My therapist, when after I'd had my nervous breakdown and we were talking and I was explaining this almost this exact same thing, that I was just feeling the expectations of these other people and it didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right that I was where I was doing what I wanted to do. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to be a professional musician. And I was a music major in college. But what I found out was that major wasn't going to take me to being a professional musician the way I wanted to. It was leading me in the direction of being a teacher of music, which is just fine. But that wasn't where I wanted to end up. And so I was like, I really didn't want to be a band director. I loved my band directors, but that just wasn't what I had pictured for myself. And so anyway, so we went through that whole falling out period. But those are some of the things that are really, really helpful. Remember your dream. Start putting some good media in your life. And I would start with some Og Mandino books, like I was talking about. Or there's a book called Life is Tremendous by Charlie Jones. That's a really good book. All of these are really thin books. They're like super thin and quick to read, and they're engaging and fun to read. So that's why I recommend them. And then do some exercise. Do something that just gets your blood pumping, gets your mind cleared up a little bit, and then it can build your confidence a little bit. So then you can face this kind of stuff that you're dealing with. It's a lot easier to face it from a standpoint of confidence, and that confidence can come from doing a little bit of exercise. Then you can increase that exercise, and who knows where you can be. But I would definitely do those three things. And that's some great practical stuff that you can start to do that'll
Mhm.
help to unravel all of this stuff. And then go back and listen to what Ryan was talking about. He gave you a lot of the stuff on the mindset that you can have, right? And all of these and then take some of that practical stuff, go follow Ryan's advice, and that will set you up in a really good place to kick in this thing. So Ryan, do you have much else you want to talk about here?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for that, Joe. That was really great. And to continue on what you were just saying, one practical thing you can do, hopefully maybe as soon as you're done with this Don't Worry Wednesday, I know this is homework. I'm sorry. I don't like homework, but I'm homework, okay? Grab out a piece of paper. Don't do this on the computer. Grab out a piece of paper and grab a pencil. And I want you to write down 5. I'm only going to give you 5. 5 things that are dreams. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just 5. Okay? 5 things that are dreams. You figure them out and come up with them. They might be things that you want to do, things you want to have, things that you want to have done in the future, like whether it be travel, places you want to go,
Mm-hmm.
or people you want to see, people you want to meet, or maybe experiences you want to have with certain people, like go to a museum or a certain festival in Japan or something. Or maybe it's I want to own a horse, something weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, okay, but one of those dreams, and I'm giving you this specific dream, I want you to imagine yourself in a house, and I want you to design a feature in that house that is really weird, but awesome. An example, like rivers that flow from every room into a pool that's in the main room of the house. Doesn't that sound crazy? Like, that's a weird feature, but it would be pretty awesome to wake up in the morning and be like, I'm gonna go swimming. I'm gonna go swim to the main room. I'm gonna go swim to the pool house. And then you can swim where you want. Like, that's a weird idea, right? Or tile floors that light up when you step on them.
Mm-hmm.
right? That's pretty interesting. Or, hey, if I live in a cold area, I want my pavement to be heated always, hot enough to melt the ice. And
Mm-hmm.
and then I won't have to worry about shoveling it. Okay, some obscure, I don't care what the price would be, idea for your house. That's one of them, okay? Just
We
one of them.
needed that. We needed that heated driveway thing yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. It was really slippery. But I give you that assignment. The reason I want you to come up with a really neat feature is because it programs your mind to start thinking beyond your physical means that you have right now. It gives you the advantage of, what if there were no boundaries? What amazing things could I do? And that'll help boost your confidence and also boost your ability to dream again. It'll help you lay the foundation stones of, how do I dream? So if you want to write, whatever you want to write, just 5 things that are dreams. Maybe dreams that you want, or things you want to own, or things you want to do, or whatever. Get married. I mean, that could be one of them. That's a great thing. So there you go. That was on the practical side of things. And then 2 more things I wanted to cover. So you said here that you said, and then I gave in to the sorrow that argument caused and cut myself away from talking to my girlfriend, which did upset her, because she wanted to help you. And then that kind of exploded. Yeah. One thing I would suggest is, when someone says something, I never try to, not never, but a lot of times, don't try to defend yourself or ever give an excuse. A lot of times it's better just to say, I'm sorry, you are right. Because again, you don't lose anything from saying that. It doesn't, because yeah, you have your reasons, and you can say, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, I should have come to you, and yeah, that was stupid of me. I was just in this mindset, and so I apologize. Then you can lay your excuse out, like, I was in this mindset. But if you just say, hey, I'm sorry, you were right, or you're right, I was wrong here, I didn't think about that. That totally, something like that can really help move you a lot smoother in that kind of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So just in case something like that ever happens again, just keep that in mind. You don't lose anything by saying, I'm sorry, you're right. It doesn't hurt you. It feels like it's going to hurt. It feels like it's going to hurt because the last thing we want to do is admit we're wrong.
Mm.
You do it and you're like, it's freeing. You shove your pride down the throat of the beast and you're like, I feel great. Because pride holds us back. And that's a lot of times the reason that we make excuses or stuff like that. And I do that too. So I just in case you were struggling with that. I'm not saying that's what happened, but just in case. And then the other thing you said is, I'm honestly 99% sure. And Joe touched on this a lot. Most of the stress from arguments comes from me trying to satisfy as many people as I can. So hearing I didn't meet their expectations put me down. And I wanted to tell you that life isn't about satisfying other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I understand the desire to satisfy other people because it feels good when we do. But you said later, you just want to make people smile. That's like your main thing. You just want to make people smile, which is great because it makes you feel good when you do. And I get that. But you can't satisfy people because you're only human. Mm-hmm. And you can do something, but that thing that you do doesn't often last forever. You can't infinitely satisfy anybody. And you can only rarely satisfy people some of the time. Most people aren't going to be satisfied. Mm-hmm. It's not your job to satisfy people.
Right.
The thing that quells people's hunger a lot of times isn't you. And that's okay. It's not supposed to be. You are an awesome person for wanting to help people and make them smile and satisfy them. That's awesome. But, and I don't mean to say you can't do it because you're not good enough, I mean to say, none of us can satisfy anybody very well. So don't try not to satisfy people, but instead do the things that are righteous, do the things that are right, do the things that are virtuous, do the things that have meaning, do the things that have purpose. And whether people are satisfied or not doesn't matter. If you live a life and your focus is and your intentions are on love for that person, then their satisfaction with you has very little to do with that. Whether I love somebody or not has nothing to do with how they've satisfied me. Right? If you love somebody, don't ever seek their acceptance. Because, I mean, Joe and I were talking about this last night. Acceptance is just a form of judgment. And they're judging you and they're saying, I judge you worthy. Cool. But we shouldn't judge because that does us no good. I mean, we can judge someone's actions, but an action doesn't make the entire human being.
Right.
And your action, I mean, yeah, you're the one doing that. That is part of who you are in a way. But your action is not meaningful enough or valuable enough to equal you as a person, right? If you do something and that is unsatisfying to other people, then what is that to them? What is that to you? It doesn't matter, because it doesn't change anything. It just changes how they feel about themselves. It changes how they feel about you. Because satisfactory is something that we feel within, like, oh, I feel satisfied with that, or I don't. That's nothing to do with you, because you can't pick whether they're satisfied or not. You know, you don't have control over their feelings or the way that they see the world. I wish I did, because I would try to make everybody see the world like it's awesome. But I don't have that power. And it's good that I don't, because I don't want everybody to see the world the same way I do, because there's so much I've learned from people who don't see the world the way I do. People are not going to be satisfied with you, and that's okay. It's more important that you're satisfied with yourself, because that's going to help you be a person that's more confident and doing the right things in the right places. So if you chase people's satisfaction or chase people's what they expected of you, then the chances of you enjoying yourself are going to be low. You need to enjoy you as a human being. That's very important. You need to be able to look at yourself and enjoy yourself. And if you can't, then you need to start that relationship with yourself. And that comes through talking to yourself. That comes through edifying yourself, just to celebrating your celebrating your victories, celebrating your failures, celebrating your future desires, celebrating your pasts. You have to do that, because you have to be satisfied with yourself. I think that's really important. But again, the most important thing is not really, because you can't make other people happy, and it's not your job to make people happy, right? So it's more important that you are happy and that you do the things that lead other people to joyful, virtuous lives. Influence people's lives in a way that changes them, but don't worry about whether they're satisfied with that or not. Because you can come in and totally wreck somebody's day, and they're going to be dissatisfied with you. But the reason you wrecked their day was because you loved them and you were wanting the best for them. And they might feel unsatisfied. Like we might feel unsatisfied with our parents sometimes because they want the best for us and then they scold us, you know, children or whatever. But our days are wrecked, and we're unsatisfied, but that forms us into better people. And so don't always worry about the happiness of others in that sense. It's more important that it's for the good of the person than it is for the happiness of the person. Does that make sense? I think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's more important to worry about the good of a person than it is to worry about the happiness of another person. Because what's good matters more. Because you can try to make someone happy, but really it's just temporary pleasure. But if you try to make someone good and they become good, then that's a chance for longer lasting happiness and self-satisfaction and that sort of thing. So yeah, I was kind of trying to figure out how I wanted to say it, and now I finally kind of figured it out. Finally stumbled on it. What matters most is the good of another person, not the happiness of another person. As weird as that is to say, but that's more loving to worry about someone's good than their happiness in a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
And they can coincide. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of times when I know the thing I think is going to make me happy is not the thing that's best for me.
Right.
There are a lot of times that's the case. And, you know, I've run into that so many times. But I think I understand. He says, don't satisfy them, but bring them prosperity. I think probably it can be boiled down into this. If whatever you're doing, you are loving other people, and the definition of that is like what Ryan said, you desire the best for them. You want their best life. You want them to have their best life they possibly can have. So love other people and then do what's right. Do what's in your conscience that you know is the right thing, that you know is, we kind of all get pre-programmed in our conscience between right and wrong. Sometimes our consciences can be influenced in a poor way. You know, we can have it formed in a poor way, and then we think we're doing what's right and it's actually wrong. But most of the time, deep down inside, we know the thing. We know what's right and what's wrong. So if you're always trying to do what's right and you're doing it in a way that's loving to others, man, that's the best you can possibly do. And I tell you, your conscience will feel clear no matter if people are happy or sad or doing whatever, you know, mood gymnastics around you they're doing. Because I've been around some people who've had some pretty flagrantly ridiculous mood swings all over the place, all over other people. And I would take that personally sometimes. Like I would walk in, it's like, what did I do? You know, but it had nothing to do with me. It was just the way they were that day because of all this other stuff going on in their life. I am not the center of other people's universe. They are.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and Princess said something really important. She said, only that person can choose to be happy. That's absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Happiness is a choice. It's their choice. If somehow somebody is making you think that you are the cause of their unhappiness, they are lying to themselves. If somebody is telling you that you are causing them stress, they are lying to themselves. They are victims of their own self-deception because they choose. Every single one of us chooses our attitude. Every single one of us chooses our mood. Now, sometimes our mood can be influenced and we can allow outside influences to affect our mood, but we choose that as well. And a lot of times we choose that by forming habits. So it's good to form proper habits. That's why I was recommending all the things practically that I was recommending earlier. Those are going to be some good habits to form that are going to strengthen you in your psyche. But just remember, if somebody's putting some pressure on you, and really determine if it's them putting pressure on you or if it's you putting pressure on yourself, thinking that that's what they want, because there is a difference there. I put pressure on myself thinking my parents wanted me to pursue this certain path. It wasn't them. They just wanted me to figure it out. They just loved me and were hoping I'd figure it out. And they were encouraging me, hey, yeah, go try it. And then they wanted me to stick to what I was picking, but it wasn't working out. But at any rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
whenever sorry, go on.
No, go.
Whenever you feel like, a lot of times I do this to myself, because it's important to me. Whenever you feel an emotion you don't like, whether it's stress, sadness, anger, whatever. Now, again, I was talking to Joe last night, so it was something we talked about. But whenever you feel something you dislike, remember to ask yourself, am I being selfish here? Why do I feel this way? And is it me causing this? Could it be me causing this? Because a lot of times, about 95% of the time that I ask that question to myself, I realize, yeah, this is my fault. The reason I feel angry is because I'm allowing myself to whatever, or because I was expecting this and then I got dissatisfied with blah, 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 or whatever. A lot of times it's easy and quick to say this person, did this or whatever. But then if you really examine the situation, your feelings are oftentimes your fault. And a lot of times we're in the wrong. If we feel dissatisfied with something, if we feel upset, a lot of times it's because we're in the wrong. Even though it might seem like someone else wronged us, and they probably did, but it shouldn't always hurt whenever someone else wrongs us, because we're capable of getting over whatever it is. If you can adapt, if you can understand forgiveness, and just having your own strength and body and mind and just saying whatever, then it's awesome. A lot of the combat that you're doing is with yourself. So if you feel something, just like Joe was saying, if they're feeling stressed, that's their fault. They're lying if they're blaming it on you. They're lying to themselves, and they've come to believe that. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. But that's true for all of us. A lot of time when I feel stressed or something, I really look into it. I realize I'm being selfish, or it's, my fault in one way or another. So, yeah, just, it's good to do that.
Yeah. Lay, we really love you, and we are so happy that you're here. And It was really awesome to see you pop up again in the chat. And I'm really glad we got to handle this.
Yeah, every time you hear it, I'm glad. And don't worry about getting carried away too much for others' feelings. I totally get that, dude. I have that same thing. I have that same problem. But a lot of times you just got to say to yourself, what they feel is not my fault, because they control their feelings, not me. And you have to remind yourself, because that's true for you. And you have to remind yourself when you're feeling something,
Interestingly enough, I stumbled upon this truth, like Ryan was just talking about. I stumbled upon this truth because I had a person in my life that was angry at me all the time. All the time angry. All the time angry and yelling and bitter and just mean all the time. And I just sit there. And finally, I came to this conclusion. I was like, well, there's nothing I can do. This person's going to be mad no matter what. So I'm just going to do whatever, because they're going to be mad anyway. So who cares? I'm just going to do whatever I think is right, because whatever, they're going to be mad. And you know what? I did something and they were mad. Surprise, surprise. They were mad.
But
Big
that also
deal. I did it anyway.
strengthening things too.
Yeah. So then I did the opposite. And you know what? They were mad. And I did something totally unrelated and they were mad. And I tried another thing and they were mad. But what happened was eventually when I started doing what was right, because I knew it didn't matter, they were just going to be mad anyway. When I started doing what was right and pursuing virtue, they started being mad less of the time. It was really, really weird because the idea came across finally that, you know what? I don't care if you're mad or not. Your feelings have no impact on me whatsoever. And I think what happened was they realized that I think part of their being mad was because it was an attempt to try and influence me in some way. And they were seeing that it was working, so they kept doing it. But when I released myself from that, it was like, I'm going to do what's right. And I don't care if you're mad or not. I just pretty much know you're going to be mad anyway. And then when I just started doing what was right anyway and not caring that they were mad, they were less mad because they realized, I think, that wasn't going to work anymore.
Yeah.
So it kind of took all the fight out of that, like I took their ammunition totally away because it wasn't going to affect me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate,
Akil, you said you'll always feel like you could have done something, but you are actually doing what you can already. Healing required the person themselves to get themselves together too. So test the waters. Maybe an opportunity will present itself. Akil, that is so spot on. Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So thanks again, Lay. You're awesome. And you can get through this.
Yeah, you got this, man.
All things pass. And this is no exception.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a bright future on the other end of this. I'm sure of it. So keep coming back. We love seeing you.
Yeah. I'm excited next time I see you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You should come back on Friday. We're going to do this again on Friday. You should be here again.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, it'll be good. We're going to be here.
Yeah, we're that's true.
Yes. No, thank you, Master Lay. Thank you very much for the post.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So we should move on. We're already like halfway into this deal.
I was like, man, we're dragging this one out, but
yeah. So, but thanks again. There was quite a bit to talk about. So next in line, science. I saw your name pop up.
Are you here, science? You still
Science,
here?
I saw you here. I saw you here not too long ago.
I missed
the last thing you said was noise.
Noise. Yeah. I miss the guy. Science. I wish you would talk in the chat more. I love every time you say something. You've got a great sense of humor.
Uh-huh. Hey, there you are. Okay, good.
Awesome. Noise.
All right. Science rocks. Welcome back. And thanks for posting. We've been looking forward to talking about this one. We could do like probably 5 shows on this particular topic.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I got to post the links. Don't let me forget that.
I'll read it so you can go first, Joe. You're
what?
excited. So. Oh,
what?
Never mind. Fine.
I wanted you to go first.
All right.
I want to know. I want to know what Ryan has to say on this. That's what I'm excited about. I'm not excited to talk about it. I'm excited to listen to Ryan.
I don't know anything about the subject, dude.
Whatever.
Okay, that's a lie, but whatever.
All right, fine. I'm going to read it.
Go for it.
It's in there, Jesse. It's in there. Oh, wait, it's not. Watch that. How about that? Sorry, Jesse. See, it's funny. Like Jesse can talk in our ear. I don't know if you guys heard that or not.
No, they might have. They might have through my headphones. He was
Yes.
aggressive with it. I got scared.
Anytime we're getting off track, Jesse's voice comes through and he's like, blah, 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 you know, and I say, hey, start a support ticket. Call IT.
Yeah, tell Jesse to start a support ticket and send an email to Jesse.
Yep. All right. So science has on here tips for beginning to write music. This is an excellent post. So Science Rocks posts. Do you guys have any tips for someone that wants to write music for the first time? For example, things you can do to make a song better, things to avoid, common mistakes, etc. I'm pretty sure I know how to read a lot of, if not most, music, as I've played the violin before, but writing it is a whole different story. I did some research on my own, but where do I start? The lyrics, the melody, the structure, the instrumental. All I know is that I want it to be positive.
That's awesome, Science. I really love how you ended that. You are a warrior of our kind. Thank you so much. That's interesting. And Science, now you wrote this like a week or so ago. Have you started anything yet since then? Just out of curiosity, I'm asking. So it's kind of interesting writing music. You can take, music theory classes and music writing classes, etc. But if you take them in a classical setting, you might find yourself even more confused than you were if you hadn't. This is an interesting thing about writing music. It's a form of art. And so you have to be artistic. The way you get at drawing is you draw and you try and you draw, and maybe sometimes you watch other people draw and then you draw more. Writing music is often the same. Writing music is a lot dependent upon spending time writing music. And then every once in a while, you might check in with somebody else, watch them write music, or ask them, what kind of things they do to solve this problem. Like, hey, the bass line is covering up this other thing and I can't hear, or whatever, something is wrong and I can't hear this instrument no matter how much I boost it in volume, and things like that happen. But, you can always go to other people who write music for a little bit of help like that. On those issues, because there have been people doing it for years and years and years. And yeah, there is a science to it, which is cool, because science rocks. But there's also an art to it. And the main thing is really just spending time doing it. I started writing music, I guess, kind of when I was 8. I was sat down at the piano and I just started fooling around with it. Just started plunking random notes and then going, wait a minute, that sounded cool when I put those 2 notes together. And technically I just wrote something, even though it had been done before. Or I play these notes in a sequence. Do, 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 do. That's technically writing a song. That's a very short song. Some people would call that a jingle.
Jingle jangle.
Yeah. I mean, you could do just do, 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 do. And that would be a song for like, an advertisement. Like, buy these socks because these socks do rocks, and it's like, man, you just made a song, right? People would want to buy those socks because they rock. But so writing a song, where do you start? If you can play the violin, start there. Start where you are at least somewhat knowledgeable. Everything we learn a lot of times is based off of things that we've learned previously. We start out in the world messing with physical objects, trying to I don't know if you ever watched a baby try to handle something. It's kind of funny because they're terrible. They're like trying to grab a block and like hold on to it, and they can't even do that. They're like grabbing the block and they're missing with their hand. And then they finally get it and it's wrapped just precariously on their pinky and their palm, and they think they have it. And then they start trying to like move their hand around and it flies away. And they're like shocked and stunned for like a minute before they're like, how do I get that block back? And then they decide to try to reach for it. You know, like this is a development of a human being. And those things that we go through, suddenly we start to learn how to grab the block and hold on to it. We start to figure out what's the best way to hold the block. And then we start to realize we can take the block and like spin it around and catch it. And that's cool. We can take the block and spin it on our finger and watch it rotate before it falls off. And the more we do that, the better we get a sense of balance. And then soon enough, we can spin the block on our finger and it'll spin for like 20 seconds because we're that good. There's a long way coming to find that, but you'll learn it. And so you can learn from what you already know. So if you know a bit of the violin, I would start there. That would be a great place to start. Pick up your violin if you can still play it. You know, I don't know how long it's been, but if you still have it, if you can still play it, pick up your violin and start. Just try to create a series of 4 notes that sounds cool. And then repeat that over and over and over and be like, I've got a song. And then try something else. Add more notes, add more phrases. And then you start writing songs. Try to memorize it. Now you got yourself doing and moving forward in writing music. That's kind of where you start as a songwriter. Now, if you can sing, then you start there. If you're a poet, you might start with lyrics. If you enjoy words, that can be your thing. But as far as like the structure goes, I mean, you can put any structure you want for a song. I mean, song is an art form. As long as you put the pen to the paper, you've got a picture, even if it's just a single dot on it. And music is the same way. It doesn't matter what kind of the structure is. But here's the thing. There is a science to structure. If you want a song that sells, it's different than just writing a song that you think is cool. There's a big difference between a song that you think is cool and a song that sells. They can line up and be one and the same, but structure and certain things do matter. Joe has done tons of research on that, and I have benefited greatly from it, from learning what he has to say in those fields because he took time to study those things. But yeah, you've got the right thing. A, B, A, B, A, C. Close enough. I would say A, B, A, B, C, B. Because that's, well, you usually say C for chorus. So A for verse, B for chorus, A for verse again, B for chorus again, and then C for bridge, which is slightly different than the verses. And then another B for the chorus to end it. So I'll write it down.
B ad nauseum B. B.
Yeah, sometimes you can do B. Like some songs start with the chorus, B A, and then like they'll do like C and then that. Like some songs they just nail that and get it stuck in your brain.
Yes. Catchiness is key.
Yes, catchiness is key. Simplicity is important. When we start writing music, we're exploring. It's awesome. We explore concepts. We end up adding so much to a song that anybody who listens to it is like, I can't hear a thing because there's so much going on. Because we can hear all the parts because we added them. But not everybody can hear all those things because they aren't the one that wrote it. And so you have to always try to remember that. When you write a song, it's okay to add quite a bit so that people can listen to it over and over and catch something new every time. But there comes a point when you start adding too much and you have to start taking things away in order for the song to sound nice. So that's something I ran into a lot, is adding too much. And I still add too much now. I promise. If I wanted to make it a little bit more poppy, more catchy, I would start to reduce my songs and be a little bit more simplistic with them. But I enjoy them as they are, and so I can release them. one last thing before I let Joe say tons about the subject, I'm sure. One last thing I would say is it's not finished until it's released.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are a lot of programs out there you can write music with. I started with a program that would be terrible to write music with. Okay. So I wouldn't recommend it, but you can write music with pretty much anything. You can record, then you can write music. Okay. It's great. Or you can write things in MIDI tabs, which is awesome. MIDI tabs, I mean, in MIDI on piano rolls or tabs. You can just look for music writing software. You'll find that on YouTube. On Google. You'll find it. I would recommend, if you're really wanting to invest in it, I would recommend Cubase. Mm-hmm. Cubase is what Joe, I, Steve, and just BSS as a whole uses. And I would highly recommend that because of user friendliness, capability of doing every single thing that any other interface can do, and just quality of life stuff. It's just a wonderful, wonderful program. And I'm not getting paid to advertise them, but I would support them.
Yep. That's what we've been using for years.
That's what we've been using for years. Yeah.
It's tremendous software. It's awesome.
Yeah. Don't expect to write a hit your first song. It's okay if it sounds terrible. You're moving forward. Just like the baby who grabs something and she's grabbing it a terrible way. Like, that's no way to hold a block. It is going to, that's what I thought. It was going to fall out of your hand. Yeah. See, like, that's how it's going to be when you start writing music, and that's cool. You'll get better and better and better the more you write. The more you write, the better you're going to get. That's just how it is. I'm a lot better than I was 10 years ago, that's for sure. I've got 10 more years of experience. So, but don't ever get to the point where you're like, I'll never be able to do it, and it takes years and years and years to get good. That's not true. It takes a lot of effort to get good. It doesn't necessarily have to take years. If you really decide you want to do it, then you got to do it. That's the main thing. And you can do research. One important thing to do is listen to other songs. Listen closely. Listen to everything in that song and try to copy it. That's okay to do. Try to copy a song, rewrite a song from scratch. That's another way to learn. Because it teaches you some of the things that they did. And then that will expand your understanding of music and writing it from scratch. So, nice. Baby from Justin Bieber. Yeah. Baby. Yeah, okay. But anyways, okay, sorry. I kind of took a tangent. The one last thing I wanted to tell you was this. Yeah. It's not finished until it's released. Don't get caught where you start a song and then you start a song and then you start a song. Okay? And then you start a song. Don't do that. Most musicians don't make it because 95% of the pieces that they write, they never finish. Learning to finish a song is a talent in its own. It's a different thing than starting a song. Starting a song is one talent. Finishing it is another. And it's just a talent, another talent you have to develop. Some people it comes naturally, some people it doesn't. A lot of people struggle with finishing a song. They get to a point where, like, I don't know what to do with this song anymore. If you ever get to that point, you enter in experimental mode. Just start throwing things in. And then that will slowly give you ideas. Finishing a song is important. Because if you start writing songs and you don't finish them, then you'll never develop that talent and you'll never go far, if you understand me. Because the song isn't finished until it's released.
Right.
But anyhow, thanks for your suspicious glares. I'm going to hand it over to Joe and listen to what he has got to say. I'm sure he's got a lot of great stuff to say.
Well, I would say everything that Ryan said.
Do it. Say everything I said.
And that's it?
Oh.
No. As far as I was just looking through your post, and Ryan is absolutely right on everything. The interesting thing is, so I'll tell you a story about how I kind of started writing music. I just kind of accidentally started writing it. I never thought I could do it. I never thought, like Ryan was talking about, it just seemed like something that was other people did that kind of stuff. Songs just were came up with by other people, and then I got to listen to them, and they were cool. And then I had learned to play them and stuff. So the the two primary instruments I write music on are guitar and piano, and more so on guitar now than piano. I used to write more stuff on piano than guitar. But being an instrumentalist, that's where I start. I start with an instrument, whether it's the guitar or the piano. I saw in one of your posts that you have rough drafts of some lyrics already. So if that's where you start, if that's your starting point, that's great. That's where you start. And if you're starting with lyrics, then your next logical step is going to be melody. Unless you have chord progression, like if you play an instrument, you said you play the violin. I don't know if you play the guitar or piano or anything like that. If you don't play an instrument with which you can put a structure of a song together, then your next logical step is melody line. So lyrics, then melody, and then from there you can start to figure out all the other stuff. And I've worked with other people who didn't play instruments. They had an idea for a song, they had some lyrics, and they had a melody line. And then what we started to do is, once we got the melody line, I could figure out where the notes were, then I could start to feel out a structure for the song, and start to feel out a chord progression for the song, for those parts, and start to kind of figure out how we were going to do that. So that's one area. So you're writing music that has lyrics to it. When I was in high school, I wrote a song on piano, and I decided that I wanted it to be a full orchestral piece. And so I wrote it for orchestra. I took this piano song that I had written, and I arranged it for full orchestra. That was a very, very long and drawn out, daunting, amazingly huge task. Because I hand wrote it. It ended up being 30 some pages, maybe 32 pages of orchestral score. And each one of those has, I don't know how many lines. I don't even remember how many instruments there are. First, second violin, viola, cello, bass, first and second trumpet, first and second trombone, all the brass family instruments, clarinets, flutes. I left out the saxophone.
That's right. I was there.
But that was something that I had this goal, and this kind of ties into the whole dreaming and setting goals and dreaming thing, because I wrote this song, and I was like, oh, I want this to be an orchestral piece. And then I talked to my orchestra director, and I said, hey, if I wrote the song on piano, if I arrange it for orchestra, do you think our high school orchestra could play it? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So then I had some commitment pressure put on me. I had told somebody about it. And I was like, now I got to make this happen. Spring concert is in 5 months from now or something like that. And so I better get started now. So I bought some blank sheet music paper, and I just started writing it out, start putting together the thing. What did I want to put in here? And that was a very, very interesting experience. And it really helped me along my journey. It wasn't a great piece. It was kind of lame, really, I think, personally. And I made all of the string players mad at me.
Ha! Awesome.
Because I wrote it in a key signature that had 5 flats in the key signature.
Ooh.
And I did not know this, because I'm a band geek. I didn't know that the string section is used to seeing sharps in their key signature. And I wrote it with 5 flats. So they were all really upset with me.
So they were transposing kind of the concept in their mind as they were going.
Right. Right. So then from there, so I did that, and that was a great project, and it was a step along the journey. And then the next step I learned, well, I had already learned how to play guitar, and then I started playing in a band. And the way that I learned how to write music on guitar was by learning how to play other songs on guitar that I knew and I liked. So I picked up the guitar by learning how to play other songs. And I was like, oh, these are just chord progressions. And I noticed a lot of these songs kind of have the same chord progression.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can do this chord progression or something similar, and I can rhythmically play it a different way. And then I can put my own lyrics on it, slap it all together and make it sound pretty, and then put it out there, you know?
Yeah.
It's so I started to do that. And like, but the thing that was the most important was going along with what Ryan was saying. You just start doing it. You just do it and continue to do it. It's not about how much time it takes. It's about how much effort you put in. And if you really start to fall in love with it, you'll put in a lot of effort and it'll be fun and you'll just be really enjoying yourself. So depending on where you're at, looks like you've got lyrics. So your next step is melody. Then you can start in structure. And then like Ryan was talking about, that's basic. I mean, that's the structure of a song that's been around since like hit music was made hit music. And I think the Beatles kind of took it and really made it what it is now. Like they just kind of ran with that structure and it just turned out to be, now it's what sells the most. And aside from all that, you start, you continue, and you finish. You start, you continue, you finish. You start, you continue, you finish. And like Ryan was saying, you continue to finish the songs. You continue to finish them and release them. And the first ones aren't going to be all that great. It's okay. My first song was awful. And you know what? My second song was pretty good. And then my third song was terrible. And like my fourth song got not only played by my band, but it got played by my brother's band and other bands by that. Like other bands were covering my songs. And I was still like, I was like just out of high school when this was happening. I was like just graduating from high school and people were covering my songs. And I'm like, whoa. So that song was pretty good. But then the next three songs were terrible.
Yep.
Nobody liked them. You know, we'd play them on stage and people would be like yawning and going to get another drink and like, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of continuing on. And it's so funny, like Ryan saying finish, and I'm taking it personally because I've got this song that's like right on the edge of being done, finished. And he knows it. It's in the very last stage of production, and it's been sitting.
I've got those too.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, science. You say, I may or may not use the lyrics right now. It was just an idea I had in the moment. I was thinking that writing just an instrumental like Ryan's Cheerful Calm is probably a good first step. That would work too. That would absolutely work too. Here's the interesting thing. Like Ryan was saying, you're an artist. When you're doing this is an art form, so that you're an artist. You want to do this, you are an artist, and you're going to develop into a better and better artist by continuing to do this. Here's the thing. You're going to do it your own way. We might give you some guidelines. We might give you some tips and some pointers, but it's you. You're making this. This is your creation. Ryan and I both write music, but we write music in vastly different ways.
Yeah, I was going to say that after you were done, but I'm glad you said it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So much.
My pattern. Now, I think both of us tend to write the instrumental parts first, and then the lyrics come next,
mm-hmm.
You know, along with the melody line. Most of the time, what's that?
Not everybody does that. Some people start with lyrics, but
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
But yeah,
So
you
my
have
progression is
instruments.
instrumental part, then I come up with melody, and then I come up with lyrics to fit into that melody. Right? Right. And that's how I write. But when I'm putting together the instrument part, I start with the structure, the A B C B B whatever. I come up with figuring out that entire structure, and I write out the whole landscape of the song first, and I put that all out, and usually just on one instrument, the guitar usually. And then after that, I play that guitar part in my headphones. I record it, and then I play it in my headphones, and I sit down at my drums and I play the drums along with myself playing the guitar part until I get figured out the drum part I want to put on there. Then once I have the drums recorded and the guitar recorded, then usually at that point I have to record a new guitar part, because the first guitar part was just so I could write the drum part. And then I've come up with a better, version of the guitar part since then. So I have to re-record that. And then comes the rest of the instruments. The bass comes pretty much next in the process. Then any keyboards, and then other percussion instruments, little la fun stuff. Then on top of that, the vocals come last. Ryan takes it in sections of the song. He'll write the verse part, and he'll put all of the parts in there and write the whole thing. So it's like a full production of the verse.
Yeah.
So he'll have fully produced 25 seconds.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I go to the second block before I finish the first one. But yeah, usually I got the first block completely finished.
Uh-huh. Yep. So, but he puts all of the instruments in there and fully produces, boom. Then moves to the next part, and then it just works in a progression from there, and makes the variations as he goes, because your first verse is going to be a little bit different from your second verse as far as the instruments and what is going on in there. You want to change it up a little bit. But some of that stuff, I mean, I learned a lot of that from just studying music. In a band that I was in at one time, we had hired a consultant when we were doing a recording project, and he gave us some key insight. And he said, if you want to really produce something good, here is a great song to listen to on this. And he gave us the song Thief by Our Lady Peace.
Oh. I don't know that one, but I know Our Lady Peace.
Yep.
No, Innocent, and I really like that song.
Mm-hmm. He gave us that song, and he said, I remember sitting in his car, and he played this for me, and he's like, listen to how this works. Listen to how it starts low level. And then, so the introduction is just a guitar and drums. And then, the first verse, it's a little bit of an expanded guitar, drums, and they added the vocals. Then pre-chorus, they added the bass. So the song grew a little bit, verse, pre-chorus, and then the chorus, they added more guitar parts, and then maybe some different keyboard part, whatever the parts were, and it got bigger in the chorus. And then for the next verse, shrunk back down to maybe just drums and vocals, or maybe drums, vocals, and bass, shrunk back down to just a couple instruments. And then halfway through that verse, they added some more. And then the pre-chorus again was a little bit bigger than that. And then the second chorus was bigger production-wise than the first chorus. There was more stuff going on in there, maybe more vocal harmonies, maybe more background percussion instruments. Who knows, but it was bigger than before. And then bridge, you can do either. Some people either shrink it down to be in the smallest part, and some people make their bridges the biggest part of the song. But listen to some of those songs. So Thief by Our Lady Peace was the one that I was given by this consultant, and he said, listen to the song over and over and over again, and listen to the waves, listen to the different instruments, and really zero in on what's going on in each part, and how things are stacking up on them, and how that works. The song, this was hilarious. The song that I used as an example when I was telling this same stuff to Ryan was What Was I Thinking by Dierks Bentley.
Yeah.
A country song.
A country song. And I was like, dude, what is this? Country? What is this? But I remember we listened to it together in your car or something. It actually was. Yeah. I could hear everything you were saying. Yeah.
Yep. But I was like, don't listen to the song because of the song. Listen to the different instruments. It was a great example because everything was obvious. That's what I was looking for. The reason I picked that song was because every instrument was a little bit different, and it was super obvious the things that were getting added in.
Yeah. Like the verse was the same exact thing as the second verse was the same exact as the first verse, except he had one little extra note that would go beep, bleep, 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 bleep every once in a while or whatever it was, just one extra instrument doing one tiny difference, just adding a few notes, and it made a difference. But yeah.
Those little things. Yeah. It was great. That was the most hilarious part, was that it was country, and neither of us like country at all.
Yeah.
Like
it's funny that you recommended that. I was like, dude, what? You don't even like this. So like, why are we listening to it?
Why are we listening to country? Yeah.
But no, you made your point, and it was totally true. I would recommend maybe Drops of Jupiter.
By Train. Yeah.
Listen to the way that they do their first verse chorus, and then the second verse comes in. You can hear now they've added stuff to it. It's the same thing. So your mind already is like, oh, I've listened to this part already, but now it's like made anew. They've added something to it, and it's awesome. So that's a really good one to listen to as well. It's super simple, that song, but it's really enjoyable.
Yep. So you can go back and listen to this again. That might give you some insight on some stuff. But the key thing to take away from all this, if you're starting to write music, is just do it. As much as these little tips and techniques can be helpful in guiding you along the path, and then especially if you're looking to create something that's going to be well received by the general public, and maybe will sell well and get streamed a lot on YouTube and stuff like that. Sometimes you can do all this right and it'll flop. You might scientifically create an incredible work that follows all those guidelines properly, and it might just flop. Or you might do something really, really strange and it'll work.
Yeah. I
remember that happening with Ryan's big hit, the It's Not Like I Like You song. I remember listening to that, and they followed the structure guidelines and stuff, and that was awesome. But I remember listening to it for the first time before they released it, and I was like, this is a cute little song. I mean, but I don't know, it's it's all right. And then all of a sudden it got released on YouTube, and it just blew up like crazy, and I'm like, that one? Really? Like, I'm listening to so many of Ryan's songs, and that was not the one I would have picked to go gangbusters on YouTube like that. But it had something special. It had the cuteness. It had something that appealed to those people, to anybody who was listening to it. And it just went crazy.
I'll say that I followed the guideline of certain Japanese style. J-pop has something interesting. After the first chorus, they usually have a small interlude, if you will. And so I added those in after the chorus, which was really weird because you don't hear that too often in Western music. But yeah, certain things but mostly you're right. I mean, there are many times, a great example is, what's his name? Queen. Everybody knows the Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody is probably their most well-known song. And
structurally does not follow.
Structurally does not follow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a novelty.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it awesome. You create a novelty piece. And that's also pretty much what It's Not Like I Like You is. It's a novelty piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so it did well. But yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I think one key thing to remember, it was something that I learned in my production course that I took, where they were like, just remember, you are bringing your production to the table, and it's uniquely you. It's what makes your art special. And in this case, what they were talking about was the production. It was the engineering side of things. Like, they were just talking about taking a song that another person had written and then engineering it and mixing it and mastering it and putting it all together in a production. And the flavor that you put on it as a producer is uniquely yours. And even though we're going to give you some guidelines here, this is an art. This is your art form, and it's your signature that you're putting on this, and it's uniquely you. Follow you in wherever you're going. If it sounds good to you, that's your signature. And I would encourage you to do the same thing in writing music. It's you. It's your signature. It's your art. Make it you. As much as we give you these little guidelines and structural tips and stuff like that, the song, it's a piece of you that you're giving to the world. And I love the fact that you want it to be positive. Like Ryan said, you're a warrior of along the same cause as we have. We want to create positive music, positive media. And think of your songs. I got caught in the trap of thinking of songs as mine. This is my song. This is my song. I want to know it's mine. Everything changed for me when I started thinking of my songs as gifts for the world.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What you're creating is something you're going to give to the world. You're going to create something as a gift to give to the world around you. And there are going to be people that do not like it. And there are going to be people that love it. So don't worry about it. Just understand that that's the landscape. There are going to be people that don't like it. Who cares? They don't like it. They don't matter.
Whether people like the song or not, it doesn't change it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't change you. It doesn't change what you
Right.
did. What you did was good.
Yep. You're giving it to the world. It's a gift to the world. And the people that like it will like it. And they will like you for putting it out there. If you're anything like me, by the time you're done with it, you're going to hate it.
That's most songs for Joe. But I've rewritten this song like 50 times. I'm done with it. I don't want to listen to it. Yeah, I'll give it to other people to listen. I'm not listening to it. I refuse.
The world can have it.
Yeah. But that's a really great point. That song that you wrote, I mean, yeah, you own it, technically. But you didn't write it for you. Don't write songs for you. Write it for other people. Write it for your listeners. Write it for anyone who gets the chance to hear it someday and be influenced by it. And then think about that person and say, how can I help them with it? You know, I think that's the major difference there. Because a lot of people get caught in this trap of, this is my song. And so when people talk about it and it's not nice, they feel offended. Or even worse, and I say this is worse, by the way, people make a suggestion on their song and they get offended. Remember, if someone makes a suggestion on your song, don't take it personally. Don't take it as you're not good enough or their idea is going to be better or whatever. It doesn't matter. They made the suggestion. You should probably take it a lot of times. You don't have to, but sometimes their suggestions are going to make your song even better and reach out to even more people and help even more people because of their suggestion. So that's awesome. If someone makes a suggestion in your song, you should be like, thank you. I'm honored. So just just some pointers as a when you're starting to write music, when you start getting some songs written, don't let pride step in the way of you becoming an awesome artist.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Bree, thank you for posting that. All these opinions, suggestions, and all this motivation, it is really good. This is all very helpful. But the important thing is what you do with it, what you make from all of this. Yes. So all of this, if there's anything we can do with all of this, the whole point of what we're saying here is to help move you into the action mode, to get you moving, to get you started and doing it, because I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear the stuff that you write. In fact, if you get to a point where you're kind of stuck on something, feel free to put it in at bss.studio. Send it to me in a private message if you want. I'd be happy to do anything I can with whatever time I have, which isn't always a lot, but to help with any part of the process. If there's anything you're feeling stuck on, if there's anything that you need a little bit of direction in, anything like that, feel free, post it, and I can't wait to hear what you come up with, because I am looking forward to all of it.
Joe heard my first pieces, and let me tell you, he praised the heck out of him, and I felt amazing, which was awesome because he didn't need to do that. But I was very inspired by that. So feel free to do that. Send it to Joe. He's going to be, trust me, he'll help you.
Yep. Science, I understand it. So he says, I'm going to be so embarrassed to post anything. Thank you so much. I tell you, if you're embarrassed to post it in public, feel free to send it to me just in a message. Just click the little mail thing at bss.studio and send it to me in a private message. If you don't want it to be public, you can do that as well. Or Ryan. I'm going to volunteer Ryan.
I'll listen to it too if you send it to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
by the way, Pokemon fan, I did see your question from earlier. Thank you for asking it, and should be able to get to it probably tomorrow, next Friday. This coming Friday.
This Friday.
Next Friday is the coming Friday, so.
It's actually not, but okay.
It just confuses people because, like, if you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, what comes next? Friday. That's the very next Friday in the series of all of the Fridays is the first Friday that comes. So next Friday is this Friday.
Yes.
This next coming Friday. Exactly. They're all the same thing. Coming Friday, this Friday, next Friday. Same.
Next Friday.
Try to say this Friday. So what is this Friday? This
Friday is 2 days from now.
No, today's not Friday. So if I was going to point at something, I would say like this mouse. If I say this Friday, well, I'm wrong because this day is not Wednesday. What you mean is say this next Friday. And that has the word next in it.
This coming Friday.
Or this coming Friday. Or this week's Friday.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say this week's Friday, the next week's Friday would be the other week. But if you're going to say next Friday, then it's the same thing as saying this Friday.
Yeah.
Next coming Friday would be the same thing as this coming Friday.
Science has the right sentiment. No, not this argument again. Dang it. Yes.
I'm winning this argument. I'm telling the world next Friday is the same thing as this Friday. Whenever I say it. My logic is sound.
You're in the top square, so we will listen to what you have to say. Awesome. But choose whether or not we have to agree with it.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with me. I don't care. You also don't have to believe in gravity. I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me.
Thank you, Princess. Let's not get caught up in this. Yes, I agree with Princess. Let's move on. So, Science, thank you for that topic.
Thank you so much. It's a fun topic. We enjoyed it.
Yes. 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 Thank you very much for that one. So it looks like we have a little bit of time left. We could handle something.
Okay.
We can handle one more.
If we go quick, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna attempt to go quick.
Right. So what will come next? Let's see. Joe, I don't think is here. Amira, I have not seen here today.
I haven't seen Kendra either. Well, I think she was
Kendra,
on.
Kendra, I saw.
Is Kendra still here? If not, we can do Pokemon fans. We just said one earlier.
Hmm. Yep, Pokemon fan has something.
Thanks for posting that, Princess.
Hmm. Yes.
Kendra.
Kendra's here. If not,
Oh,
we'll
Kendra. Yeah.
Kendra,
Yeah.
the smiley face. Look at that.
Cool. With
Thank
the smiley
you,
face,
Kendra.
that's a great way to come in.
Yep. Oh wow, Kendra's comes with pictures. Nice.
It does?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yep.
I'll have to go check that out.
Kendra's is a bit of a longer post, and that's totally fine.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So here is the post.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Princess posted it in the chat. I'm gonna post it in the other chat. Bang. There you go, Jesse. No need to reprimand me in my eardrum.
Yes. Reprimand in my nose hole. What do you want instead?
Okay. So I will read what Kendra has to say.
All right.
So thank you for posting, Kendra, and thanks for your patience while we got to your topic.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for being here again. Wow.
Yeah, we love you so much. You're awesome.
Yes. So Kendra writes, when I was younger, I hated how I looked. I hated my body and didn't feel confident in myself, nor did I feel like I was actually beautiful. The only thing that I liked about myself was my singing voice and my eyes. I posted a picture of me wearing makeup, and many people replied with, "You look beautiful" or "cute," and it made me happy. But when I got back to my apartment and took my makeup off, I felt bad about myself. I don't really understand why, but I suddenly felt self-conscious again, and it wasn't just how I looked, but with my singing voice as well. Many people have said that I am beautiful and that I have a beautiful voice. But when people have told me I am beautiful, all I can say is thank you, and it makes me feel not so good about myself. I used to be so proud of myself when people would compliment my singing, but now I feel self-conscious about it, and I feel like I don't deserve the compliments. It doesn't help that from what I have heard from other people that are in the choir at my college, that the choir isn't doing so well this semester. I couldn't join choir because I had to take math, and it is like all of a sudden everyone became miserable. People from choir have been asking me if there was any way at all I could somehow come in, but I can't. The only time I would be able to go in would be on Thursdays, and that really isn't fair to me because I don't have that much time to practice. Anyway, I feel guilty about not being able to join, and then with how I am feeling about myself, I just feel like something is wrong with me. To be honest, I sometimes feel happier wearing my wigs because then I can pretend to be someone else for just a moment. I know this is probably all over the place, but right now that is where my mind is. So if this doesn't make sense, I will try my best to clear it up. Kendra. And she added a few photos. So I'm enjoying your photos, Kendra.
Yeah.
And your wigs.
Okay. Yeah, and your wigs. It's great.
Uh-huh.
That's cool. Yeah. That's a really tough thing to deal with. I'm sure you've heard many times about how society has trained us to think beauty is something that's basically unachievable. Through Photoshop, through film, through all the touch up that you can do to a person through professional makeup and effects. I get it. It can be difficult. We want to look our best. And sometimes we have an opinion of what best is and we don't match it. That's difficult. That's hard. I think it's important to also remember that how you look, yeah, that's your body and that's how people see you. But obviously there's a lot more to the you than just your looks. But your looks, whether you like them or not, are beautiful in the eyes of the one who created you. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You can think you look like poopy, or you can look like gold or silver or whatever you think looks nice. But in the end, that's only your opinion. And your opinion can change. And I think sometimes, like I've said it before, we can have opinions and those opinions can hurt us. And there's kind of like a right and a wrong to an opinion, because if an opinion hurts us, then that's kind of wrong. We're wronging ourselves. We're doing ourselves harm. How do you change that opinion though? You know, I mean, it's kind of set in your mind what you like and what you don't like. And if you look at yourself and you don't like that, how do you change that? Well, you can go one route and just say, well, I don't care. It doesn't change anything. I can't change it. It's the way it is. And anybody who doesn't like it will have to deal with it, because it's just how it is. And it's not worth time putting too much thought or work into. And you can go that route and that's okay. Or you can change your perception about it by prayer. I think that can do a whole lot of good. And like I said before, remember that God loves you and God sees you as beautiful, and He's created you as He meant to. And so that's important. I think that can help you with your thinking about it. Another thing I think that's important though in this realm is, I don't mean to say become, what's the word? I mean to say try not to care so much, but I don't mean to say that it doesn't matter. For example, it's not okay to destroy your body, right? It's not okay to destroy your body. Your body is a sacred thing. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. It's a precious thing. But it's okay to care a little less about what others think of you. And it's okay to care a little less about what you think of you, or rather to care a little less the amount of times you think or you care about such things. Again, I understand, you know, you want to be pretty, you want to look pretty or whatever in your own eyes. And you already are, but it's important to focus a little bit less on beauty and a little bit more on goodness, I will say. You know, it's been said, you know, beauty is important. Beauty is a wonderful thing in this world. So is music, so is joy, all of these things, you know. Every time we look at the world and we see something beautiful, that's good. It's good that we can see that. That shows that you have a mind capable of understanding beauty. But those things are fragments of God, if you will. You know, beauty is just a fragment of the good God created. And the whole world is that way. When we see something beautiful, we have to appreciate it, but also understand, like, that's just a fragment of reality that, you know, once, you know, that God created. So if you look at yourself and you see no beauty, That doesn't mean you're not beautiful, right? That's just your own thought. But that there are more important things.
Mm-hmm.
There are far more important things. Beauty is just an aspect or an opinion. And it's good that we can see those things, but they're not the most important things. And if you see that it gets your confidence down, or if you worry about people who say thank you because you feel like it's untruthful, I understand that, and I can relate to that. But if you see yourself doing that, then you have to remind yourself, I have to pay a little bit less attention to me, um, because whether you pay attention to that or not doesn't change it. But it certainly does hurt a lot if it's something that you're choosing to hurt yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you stop hurting yourself with that? You know, I would say, again, prayer, accepting that. Also, try not to judge. I mean, it's not your place to judge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't do anything really about it. I mean, it could take plastic surgery or whatever, but I mean, that's just kind of like trying to find a way around a wall that's not healthy. Because you can get plastic surgery, but it doesn't hit the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that you're looking at yourself negatively. And you got to stop that. Because, I mean, that's really what it is. And you can stop that. You can stop looking at yourself negatively. Every time you think that thought, like, I'm not pretty or I'm not beautiful, every time you think that, you got to tell that person that they're wrong. And what they're saying doesn't change you and that you're better than that thought. That thought doesn't shape you and you're better than that thought. That feeling you're feeling is an experience, but that doesn't make who you are. What makes who you are is what you decide to do next. And so far you've been doing great because, you know, people say you're beautiful or whatever, and you say thank you. That's an awesome response. And that's perfect. But you got to make sure you tell that person in the back of your mind, if you feel that sense of pain, just remind yourself that that sort of thing doesn't matter. And you're amazing. You're an incredible person. It's hard, yeah. I've been going on a roller coaster ride, you said, ever since high school with how I look at myself. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it is very hard. I mean, again, we're programmed to think about certain things like this. And yeah, it's just a hard subject. The best thing you can do to get over it is gain enough confidence and self-esteem that it doesn't matter what steps in your way, it doesn't break you down, including yourself. And the way you do that, because that's kind of what I had to do. I used to not be very attracted to myself. In fact, most people aren't. Most people aren't attracted to themselves, which is funny. I'll tell you an experiment in just a second. Most people, they look at themselves and think they're ugly. Or they're just like, wow, I'm not that great looking of a guy or a girl or whatever. I wish I looked like this other person or whatever. That's pretty common. The best way you get over that is to grow some confidence. And the way you do that is to just grow in every other area of your life. And as you do that, you force yourself to do things that you wouldn't normally do. And in that, you become confident. And then at some point, you have the ability to just tell yourself, hey, I'm awesome. I don't care if not everything is spot on, because I can't be perfect. But I am loved, and I am loving, and I am lovable, regardless of my faults. Right? Because that's you. That's the truth. You can't be perfect in every way. You can't be spot on in pretty much anything. But the truth is, you are loved, and you are lovable, and you are loving. And that matters a whole lot more. Because despite our flaws, love can exist. And love is often most fruitful when those flaws and vulnerabilities are made present. So remember that. But the thing I wanted to tell you is kind of interesting. There was an experiment done at a college, I believe, or maybe it wasn't at a college. But anyways, they had invited 10 or 20 people into a room, and they showed them pictures and asked them, hey, you're not being like, we're just trying to figure out what people like based on, whatever. And they just did an experiment and said, look, none of these people are real. They're all computer generated. All of these people, they're all computer generated. And they were. That was no lie. And they said, which person, so for our program, we're trying to figure out, to make attractive people, which people do you think are most attractive? Pick your top 3. And so then they were shown a list of 20 people. And every single one of them happened to pick in their top 1 place the person that they thought was most attractive on the list that was presented to them. The person they thought was most attractive was a computer generated photo based on the person they were interviewing. So they pulled in Steve Robinson, which is not, I'm sure that is a real person's name, but I'm just making a name. Pulled in Steve Robinson and said, Steve Robinson, which person do you think is the most attractive? And he said, that one is my number 1, most attractive male here. And the funny thing was the computer generated people's images based off of the 20 people that actually came in for the interview or for the experiment. And the people, time after time after time, picked the one that was based off of themselves. So it's funny that we don't like ourselves when we look in the mirror. We see all our flaws. We're so quick to see all our flaws.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? The flaws don't make who you are. The flaws don't make you who you are. The pieces missing don't make you who you are. The failures don't make you who you are. But the good in you does. Because good is something that exists. Failures or things that are missing are the things that are lacking. So some people don't have left arms.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not made up of a left arm. So they can't be judged on that left arm.
Mm-hmm.
What they're missing is not what defines them as human or as a person or as a soul or as a beautiful being or as good or as righteous or as valuable. Right? So, yeah, we've all got things missing. We've all got flaws. We've all got issues where we need to grow, and we can continue to grow and become more beautiful as we do. But anyhow, hopefully some of that is encouraging. I'm going to hand it over to Joe and see what he's dealt with as an kind of an issue.
Yeah, Kendra, wow. Looks to me like there are 2 issues here kind of at hand in your post. First of all, the first thing I would advise you to do is go back and listen to what Ryan had to say again, because there's a lot in there that's going to help you understand the proper perspective of how to look at yourself. And it also helps you to look at other people in the right light as well, because we need these things. The physical appearance is just one component, and it's not even like the most important component. We are who we are, and we're beautiful.
One day we'll die.
Every single one of us. Mm-hmm. Yep.
We won't have this body, at least.
Yeah, and we all get old and wrinkly and weird looking, have health problems and stuff.
A 9-year-old doesn't care that he looks all wrinkly because that's just his reality, and he can't. Yeah, it's like, I'm not attractive. I'm 90 years old. Well, that's true for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyhow,
And who knows what else they got to deal with? Maybe they got somebody that has to come over and wipe their rear end for them and stuff. And who knows? There's all kinds of craziness. And life is just this interesting, crazy, wild ride of all that stuff. But a couple things. One, I do want to approach the guilt you feel because of not being able to join the choir, and give you a little bit of a perspective on that. Because one of the things I've learned is that if you're going to get anything done, your biggest power is going to be in your ability to say no. And it just gets more and more as you move on into your career and into pursuing any type of dream you have.
it's true.
Whatever you're doing, you need to learn how to say no to things. And they are probably very good things. These are great things sometimes. And I say no to people so many times. I know people who run businesses and they just say yes to all their clients all the time because they're like, I don't want to lose their business. And so I just want to say yes to them all the time and continue to get their business. And they end up running themselves ragged and stressing themselves out and it just gets crazy. And not only that, the byproduct of that is their client doesn't really respect them. Their client's just like, well, they're going to say yes anyway. So we're just going to say, hey, we'll treat them however we're going to treat them. Doesn't matter, because we know they're going to say yes. So we'll just hand them whatever. And the way I run my inspections business is I say no to my clients more times than I say yes. Anytime they ask me for anything extra, all this kind of stuff, I have to tell them no. I'm like, look, if you're going to ask me to do anything extra, what that's going to do is that's going to take away from these other things I have to do, from my other clients, from my other company. I have all these things that I'm doing. Also, my family. I've got 2 kids that I go to their events, and I've got a wife, and we're trying to build our marriage too. And so there's all that gets loaded in there. So I have to say no. And it was hard at first because I felt like I was rejecting them. And I don't like that feeling of rejection myself. So I didn't want to give that to others. But it was better for me to say no and say it with respect for them, not be mean and still love them as a person and still be respectful of them, but just say, no, I'm sorry that, I have too many things on my plate. I cannot take that on. I'm really sorry. And that was way better of a response than for me to say, well, maybe, knowing deep down the answer is no. I wasn't going to be able to fit it in. To keep them kind of hanging on the line would have been worse than to just say no at the outset and like, nope, I'm sorry. I don't have the time to do this. I don't have the ability to do this. There's too much on my plate. So the fact that you had to say no to the choir because of the other things going on, you had to take math, it just doesn't work in your schedule. You wouldn't be doing the choir a service because you wouldn't be able to practice enough. Those are all different things you can say when people approach and say, hey, we'd really like you to be in the choir. Can you please come in? And you just have to say, I'm really sorry. If I was going to be in the choir, I'd want to do a really good job for you guys. I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I came into the choir because I don't have enough time to get the parts down. I wouldn't be able to give you guys my best effort because I just simply don't have the time this semester. And when you put it in that light, it shows them that you respect them and you respect the choir enough to say, I want to do a good job. And because of the other requirements I have this semester, I will not be able to do a good job for you. And I really don't want to, be the weak link in the choir, if you will.
I would drag you guys down.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can put it that way. But so to learn how to respectfully say no is going to be a tool for your success as you build your life and you build your career and you do all of those things together. But if you can learn how to say no and say it respectfully and to say it lovingly, that's going to be such a great skill for you. So then to go along with what Ryan was talking about, as far as our looks and as far as some of the surface level things, we have an enemy, and it's the culture. It's the cultural standard in our society. We get paraded in front of us all these beautiful people all the time, and we see magazines and movies and TV and then the news and everything. All these people are doctored up and that put all the makeup on and do all these things to make them look just right and everything like that. And like Ryan was saying, most of the time when you see a photo of somebody, it's photoshopped. So like all their little flaws are taken care of and everything like that. You see, it's very interesting because we see that and we're like, oh, that's what the culture says is the right way to look. That's how we're supposed to be. And none of us look like that.
Not even the people that you're looking at look like that.
Exactly. Not even them. So it's kind of fake, really. And I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, doggone it. My hair looks silly, so I shave it off, and my face is lopsided and my nose is too big, and I've got a funny looking chin and whatever.
Heck, man. I don't see any of that, by the way.
Great. Well, good. So there's that, and then now I'm getting older, so now I got hair that grows out of my ears, so now I gotta like trim all that, and it's extra work I gotta do now. I gotta like buzz all my ear hair. Like I have more hair in my ears than I have on my head, and it's weird. So but these are things, I look at myself and I see those things too, and I don't necessarily like how I look, but so I look at myself and then I'm like, well, whatever. Here's one thing I learned. The culture's wrong, first of all, because it's not about all that stuff. It's not about, see, every time you see something in the culture, you see some of this beautiful person, this model that's been photoshopped and all that.
And glorified.
Yes. It's generally somebody trying to sell you some product or something that says, hey, if you use this, you're going to look like this, and then you'll be happy. And that's totally wrong. Because here's the thing. The most attractive quality a person has is a genuine, heartfelt smile. Because it's not just your mouth with the lips turned up. It's your face. Your whole face lights up. Your whole body posture is welcoming and loving and accepting. And when you cultivate that real smile, the smile that comes from the bottom of your heart, you actually feel it in your guts. You sit there and you let yourself smile, and you let that smile come out. Even the person who has crooked teeth and they're missing teeth, and like the American Dental Association would say, this is not a beautiful smile. Like their genuine smile is beautiful.
Radiating with beauty.
Yes, because Ryan has said it before. It's not about how you feel in other people's presence. It's about how you make other people feel when they are in your presence that matters. So anytime we worry about our beauty and stuff, we're always kind of worried about what the world sees us as. But the world cares about what it feels when we're around. Other people could care less what we look like. And quite frankly, if we're prettier than they are, they're going to be mad at us for it. So if we just love them and smile at them with a real, genuine, loving smile, they're going to feel great in our presence, and they're going to be attracted to us. Not necessarily in a romantic way, but just they're going to be attracted. They're going to feel good in our presence, and they're going to like us that way. They're going to perceive us as good, not because of our physical beauty, but because of the way they feel when we're around. And Kendra, from your previous posts, it sounds like you already do that to some degree. You go around trying to make people smile and help brighten up their day. And that's such an attractive quality. It like your whatever is happening with your face that day, if you didn't quite get your makeup put on right, or if you didn't even wear makeup that day, who knows? That is secondary compared to how are you making people feel. I used to think about this with money and stuff that I had. And like, I would be like, well, if I was able to drive a nice car and have a nice house and do it and live in the right neighborhoods and stuff, then I would impress these people and they would like me. And you know what I learned? That that's not it at all. If I had all that stuff and I looked like I had it together, they would be upset with me because they don't have it all together and they would be mad about it. And they wouldn't like me, and they'd be talking about me behind my back, and they'd be like, "Oh, look at him. He's got all this stuff." And we kind of automatically do that. I look at the people that, I mean, my kids go to a private school, and so there are people there that have lots and lots and lots of money. We barely scrape by, and we have like tuition assistants and all this kind of stuff. You know, we just do everything we can to get them to this Christian school because we want them to go to a Christian school. But I look at some of these people, and some of them I know, and they flaunt it. And you know what? I don't really like them because of that. I see them come up in their nice car. I see them driving up, and they always look so perfect, and they look so prim and they're proper, and they wear all the expensive clothes, and they have the nice fancy car, and their hair looks perfect and amazing, and they went and spent all kinds of money on all these things to make them look great. And you know what? They look at me with this fake smile, with this condescending attitude, and I don't feel good in their presence. That's probably the biggest reason why I feel what I feel about them. If they were nice to me and accepting of me and welcoming to me, and they smiled at me and loved me, then it would not matter at all whether they had all this money or anything at all. It does not matter. My greatest friends there are the ones that talk to me and that accept me, and they don't care what kind of minivan we drove up in. It's the people that drive the super fancy ones, and they have their little clique of super fancy car drivers, and they're like, you know, they're going to smile at each other in there, and it's all fake, and it's all just gross and silly, and people think that they're important because they have the money. It's the same type of thing. It's just money versus physical beauty. It doesn't matter. It makes people shallow. The greatest blessing I have is my lopsided face, because I'm not thinking about how handsome I am, and my brokenness right now, because I don't have a whole lot of stuff to show the world. All I got is my smile, my acceptance, my love, and I can give that. And the right people are my friends. And it causes me to look deeper. It causes me to find satisfaction in deeper things rather than the shallow visual perception people have. Just my whatever my physical look is like. When I exercise, I mean, yeah, I want to lose some weight, I want to get more in shape, but more importantly, it's not so I can, you know, look good, you know, and look like a Pepsi commercial where I'm taking my shirt off and, you know, have tremendous six-pack abs and, you know, all that. I just want to be healthy. I want to promote good health. I want to promote good health to my kids. So it's really it's that. It's not about me being a supermodel. It's about me just being healthy. That's why I do that stuff. But anyway, I'm tangenting and taking forever, and I apologize. I hope this isn't offending anybody. The point is, your smile, your acceptance of others, that's the thing that's going to make you truly accepted by others. Because people don't care what you look like. They don't care what you drive. They don't care what any of that stuff. What they care about is how do they feel when you're around them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that when you're here, you make me feel awesome when you come to the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So here, you're doing a great job. And it sounds to me like in other areas, you're doing a great job as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan, and maybe he can wrap things up nicely
I
for
don't
us.
have a lot more to say, just to reinforce what Joe just said, and that is one. I mean, people like one of the best things I ever learned. One of the best things I ever learned ever was people aren't really paying attention to you. They don't really care. People don't really often care about how you look, but people care a whole lot about how they feel when they're around you. That's really true. So people aren't paying attention to you, and that's cool. So you don't have to worry so much, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry so much about how you look, or when other people, when you're worried about your appearance. For most people don't care. Most people aren't worried about that. They're worried about themselves for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the people that are worried about you are legitimately worried about you because they care about you, not because of the way you look. So it's not really a big deal, but we make it out to be a big deal, but it's not. Remember that. And the other thing, to try to just, again, to continue what Joe was saying is, you aren't going to add a whole lot of good to the world based on how you look.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at history and you will find no one person that it's like they looked so good, they made the world a better place. Like, yeah, the world is a better
place.
The world is a better place because you exist in it and you are beautiful. Sure. But your beauty doesn't really add a whole lot of value to anybody. And you might think it adds a whole lot of value to you, but in truth, it doesn't add anything. That's just what you are by nature.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty. What you are by nature is beautiful. That's the way it naturally is. But it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change reality. It doesn't add value to other people's lives. So it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel that pain, that guilt, just remind yourself those two things. It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't add value to anybody. And it matters a whole lot more what I can do for other people. No one else really cares. We just think they do because we care so much. But we don't need to. We don't need to care about that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Kendra, so much for having the guts to post that topic.
Stay tuned to this extended episode. And
Yeah, all you guys, thank you. And Kendra says, I want to give you some artwork to hang on your walls as a thank you. After every one of these, you guys have made me smile and feel better. Well, I'm so glad that it's made an impact. That's the best reward that we could possibly get, is just validation that what we're doing here is making an impact, because that's the whole reason we do it.
Yeah.
Is because
you guys.
Yes, we're so thankful for you guys, and we just want to help. We want to help you guys feel better. We want to help you through these challenges, because we've been through a lot of challenges ourselves. And we know that sometimes it is just helpful to have somebody to, talk through some things, or offer some perspective, listen to somebody tell some stories about similar situations. Those kinds of things can really help. And you saying that it makes you feel better, you telling us that just that helps us understand.
That makes, like, yes, this program is worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's honestly my favorite day of the week, Wednesday and Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yesterday was my favorite day.
My favorite day is both those days.
Because I got to hang out with Joe in real person, real life.
That was good. That was good.
I had a great time.
I had a great time. Yes.
I had a great time tonight.
That was a little creepy, but all right. Oh man. Well, thank you guys for
Yeah.
being here. And thank you so much for, like Ryan said, staying tuned to the extended episode. It was funny. I was listening to an old episode from earlier this year because I was editing it to put it on a podcast, and one of us had said we need to do like a marathon. Don't worry, Wednesday. I was like, oh yeah, we mentioned that like it's extra super long. Don't worry, Wednesday. Sometime we'll do it so that way we'll just be live and then people can come in and all over the world and stuff. It'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
We had to start at
So
like 5 and then stop at like 5 in the morning, 12 hours later.
do a 12
Our
hour
voices so torn. We couldn't go that long, I don't think.
12-hour stream. That'd be something.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse's an
Well,
8, but yeah.
yeah.
That was
Wow.
our voices.
Yeah. But no, thank you guys very much for being here. Go to bss.studio. Get involved in the community. Hang out there. Post some stuff. Chat with us. Send us private message if you want to. If you've got content, post it. If you got artwork, poetry, songs, music, anything, put it up there. We would love to see what you guys can do. We would love to do whatever we can to encourage you to do more of it. We love you guys, and we can't wait to see you. Come back on Friday for Don't Worry Wednesday Friday edition.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, we love you so very much.
We love you. You guys are awesome. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
See you next time.